Hello, my friends, and welcome to Monthlies. This is going from July 23rd to August 22nd. And just quick note, thank you everybody for helping, sharing, subscribing, liking. I appreciate a lot. 10,000 is a really cool thing to be at just in less than 5 months. So, quick announcement, we only have one special this month, which is your expert. So if you want it, check it on my website. Love you. Hi Cancer, and welcome to your monthly forecast, and thank you so much for your patience this time around. As you notice, they are really biggies, and I really hope I'll be able to do it each and every month, but no promise, because oh my gosh, I'm so busy and I don't want to really do something just to do it. I really want to do it right. So I have already shuffled the cards for you, and I was studying them before basically coming over here, and it's kind of really interesting that you got this card of integration, given that we are coming to basically lunar eclipse, and lunar eclipse we know kind of does connect to you guys, right? So let's see what is this all about over here for you, Cancer. So, integration. So, if you really look at this card, right, we have lots of images of integration over here. So, it seems to me that this is a time of communication between kind of dualities of life, as we can see pretty much everywhere, right? So what are the dualities? Night is opposing the day, dark is suppressing light. However, here, look at this. It's that healing thing. They're kind of working together to create a unified whole, and they're turning endlessly into the other, right? And containing deeper core, the seed of the opposite, right? So that's really perpetual motion if you really think about it. So then we have the eagle and the swan, and they're both basically birds, right? And they're birds of some kind of majestic influences. The eagle is representing power and also aloneness, and also a really high perspective. The swan is representing space and purity and elegance. It is gently floating, right, along the lake, which kind of when I saw this, I could not but not to think about this majestic scene from The Notebook. For those of you who have seen the movie, you probably already know what I'm talking about, when at the dawn, he's taking her on a basically lake kind of ride and on a little boat, and they're surrounded with swans. Highly recommend that movie, but prepare yourself a box of Kleenexes with this. So what are basically these opposites over here, right? So there's a perfection and beauty, and there is this independence and higher views. So we are the union of these opposites, right? Of eagle and swan, male and female, fire and water, life and death. So this card of integration is the symbol of self-creation, of new love, of new life, of mystical union. Actually, they also call it an alchemy. I was just stunned to see this. Also, I don't know if you can see this. We have a lunar eclipse, and then we have solar eclipse. Isn't this really looking just like it? And you have two of them, and you have this peaceful, really balancing act. I think, guys, I heard lots of issues about this lunar eclipse, but I really think there's really nothing to worry, because especially the lunar eclipse, I know that you are basically lunar sign, but lunar eclipse is in Aquarius, and this is a good news for absolutely every sign. You guys get to experience what we Aquarians felt all our lives, where you kind of dedicate yourself to the group, and only then to yourself. And it's kind of great, but it's not great, because you kind of cannot really come close to people because the mission is like to stay at a distance. So it's kind of like plus and minus, right? It's good for everybody else, not for us. And I'm not saying this is the message you're going to get. No, you're not going to, because you're only going to get the good parts of Aquarian energy. We are all lifting up to the higher level. And look at this card. Like basically, I don't know if you see it here. Yeah, let me just come close. You see this little tiny little dot? Let me just even come, if I can come closer. It's not going to. Here you go. It's actually a tiny figure. I know if you see it. It's moving on its path. And check this out. It's on the top of the mountain. Right? So this is a really tough landscape, right? But this, he or she knows that the journey is the goal. And just the fact that it's going through and every step seems to be great. We forget in our life to do that, right? We're always getting somewhere. We always need to accomplish something. When was the last time you just like went for something like this and enjoyed absolutely every step you take? So whatever the case, this card really promises that going will be easy, and it will bring a sense of adventure and growth, and there'll be no struggle. In fact, there'll be lots of messages you might even hear inside even though they're not spoken. So try to embrace the attitude of openness and acceptance and invite new friends and experiences. So this is kind of like building up on that lunar eclipse, or look at this. Again, you have the solar thing over here. So now, this is a really interesting card because in the other decks, this is usually represented with the sun. And here, it's represented with this old man who kind of like radiates a kind of childlike, delight. And kind of like it's a sense of grace, and it's a sense of honoring everything around him, right? So you can see this playful communication. Like, see this praying mantis? It's on his finger, but they're communicating. Two of them almost seem to be, look at his face. He's not concerned. He's like really friendly. They seem to be like friends, right? And then look at this. We have these beautiful pink flowers cascading around, and they basically represent letting go. They represent time of relaxation and time of sweetness, time of innocence. So the innocence that comes from a deep experience of life actually becomes almost childlike, but not childish. Let's not mix these two kind of words. So the innocence of children is beautiful, but it's also ignorant. Sometimes it's replaced by mistrust and doubt as we grow up, right? And sometimes we learn that the world can be dangerous and a threatening place. But when we live the innocence of life fully, then we kind of manage to have the ability and almost quality to obtain wisdom and acceptance of that wonder of life. So you guys are somehow balancing, you guys are transferring. It looks like to me maybe you have been kind of polarized on one side. Maybe, you got scared. Maybe you got jaded with life. Maybe so many things happen where, you just see no end and the walls have been built up. But guess what? You are getting it. You're getting that. That's really not the way. I have a long path in front of me and I really want to enjoy the path. So you guys will be focusing on the moment, not so much on the destination. And that's absolutely lovely energy. It's like really only then that you can kind of build into that kind of innocence, kind of like strength. And then you're getting this consciousness, which is absolutely a karma card. So it's almost like for you guys awakening, because even if I see the energy, it goes like from explosion, and this explosion is really needed to kind of like take down your walls. And I'm actually so excited for you. No matter what the tarot goes, no matter what goes down on this kind of basic principles, because like this time around, this reading is like from a high level to low level, right? So I go with spiritual messages. This is teaching you to fish, then I'm going to give you the fish with the other layers, and then we're going to circle it down with advice for what is the best step to kind of take. But all these cards seeing them makes me so happy, because you're like a middle water sign, meaning you have the Pisces, that's the shallow water, then you have Cancer, mid water, and then you have Scorpio, deep waters, right? So even the emotions are going in layers. So because you're in the middle, you can go up and you can go down, and both places are basically nervous to you. So when you go up, it looks like you're going up this time around, right? Because it looks like you did go down, you did go into the stillness, you did go kind of like in kind of a recluse stage. And that usually happens to you Cancers when you are not so much insecure, but when you're harmed, or when you think you've been harmed, because like you're so soft and you're so giving, that it can be really easy for somebody else to harm you. And this is kind of self-protective attitude. But to be able to be a child and innocent, and not to be childish, is basically the biggest wisdom, it's biggest maturity you can have. So look at here, we actually see, I think, Buddha, right? So most of the cards in this suit, and this is definitely a cloud suit, and you see this like enormous amount. And some readers don't like swords and clouds, maybe because they're not able to understand the energy. And it is a difficult suit, just like I told you. You're going to learn what means being an Aquarius. So Aquarius is the highest of the suits. So right, you're in the middle of the water, and Aquarius is the highest from the air. That's why when you think of Aquarius, you can think of tornado. And sometimes tornado is needed to clean clean the things all over. And it's very uncomfortable while it's happening, and I get it. So sometimes, swords are being almost like represented cartoonish or troubled, because we somehow have perception, and I don't know what happened. I believe that was a switch. Somewhere not a long time ago. I just finished my schooling 20 years ago. Okay, yeah, I'm old. But what happened was something that is different, because I grew up in Europe. And in Europe, everything is small, guys. For those of you in North America, for those of you in Australia, you are going to think that I'm telling you a fairy tale. For those of you in the UK and the other countries, you will know what I'm talking about, because Europe is basically a small place. Just think of the houses that we have in North America. That would be a mansion in Europe. Places are smaller. Real estate is a high price. So you had to learn how to make your bedroom also into your living room, also into your gathering place. So everything had to be kind of layered. And you really had to learn how to grow up in terms of how to help your parents, your neighbors, your neighbors, you kind of communicate with them. And that was a part of socialization. And yeah, sometimes you have been forced to stay with your parents until you marry, because you just couldn't afford to live on your own. So I think in the recent past, last 20 years or so, we can afford to be on our own. And this is creating a lots of, I guess, problems. Let's call it problems, because we are still trained that we still have to be with someone. But we also crave independence at the same time. Guys, it is a conflict. And this is why we have so much codependency or independency. But I rarely see interdependency, where two creatures who are fully stand on their own. You guys are getting there. This basically means that when you get this Buddha figure, look at this standing still, and you don't get from this person get off, you don't get look at this, his whole heart chakra is open, the third eye is open. This is representing the consciousness that is available to all who become the masters of this mind, and who are not stuck in being an adolescent, who actually do want to grow. So if you need to give up on something, this is a part of being an adult, and that in order to be interdependent with others, sometimes you have to do that. But this is not out of resentment. This is out of basically love. I had this conversation with my brother, and he's really happily married. If there is basically a love story that should be written, that basically is him. Extremely good looking guy. In my opinion, he is way better looking than Brad Pitt. Sorry, Brad Pitt, I think he's great looking guy, but he doesn't come close to my brother. I will actually post a picture if you guys really want to see, but that kind of would embarrass him. So this is the guy who marries really early because he really didn't believe in, playing the field, even though the women were basically throwing themselves at him. The very first girl he was with kind of dumped him for a Canadian peacekeeper, and that kind of like took a while for him to recover. So the second girlfriend he had, he actually ended up marrying. So 20 years later, or even more, they're together. And he tells me, look, yeah, we do get along great, and for me, she's all I want, and I hope that she feels the same. And they have 2 beautiful children that are taken account with every decision. It's a kind of joint group decision, and of course he is the leader of the pack and she is the leader of the pack. They both lead in 2 different ways. And the best part of that was when he said, look, you have to give up on things. I don't see the point of me wasting time in playing games, for example, when I can spend my time with my daughters. And this is to me way more valuable. This is like a transfer of love they will not get if I'm an absent person. Yeah, I do like games, and from time to time when I get together with my buddies, we do a whole bunch of weird things like playing that football or watching that, that wrestling. But he said the bottom line is like when I give up on things, I love it because I know it's like for the best of everybody. So I think this is what you guys are getting. You're getting this understanding that not everything has to be polarizing. That can be like a big understanding and this big consciousness behind this. And you're actually reaching that level of harmony and a kind of pulse. So this is a great gift, guys. And all I'm asking you is to share it because this is really, really lifting you up to a much higher level. So next, guys, will be your tarot readings. So let's see what is going on a ground level. So see you in a minute. Yeah, I guess I'm not done. I just realized I didn't even explain this, even though it's sort of like self-explanatory, but let's go on this, right? You have to actually build upon this. It's kind of really interesting because you have basically 2 majors and the first 8 going down in the minors. So you're getting, again, this kind of flake and stillness. And I feel really deeply that this is really how you feel right now. This is what I had over here, that you're getting to this next level of kind of like that integration. And again, talks about this like tempo of life being like so fast, and that we are really immersed into things and we are really not paying attention, and anything that anybody tells us that we have to give up or we have to do, we kind of like it rubs us the wrong way. This is asking of you to kind of revisit this. The best way to do it is like maybe go to a place where far from noise, far from environment. You guys are highly sensitive to noise, and I share that with you. You kind of like water signs, like your peace. Water is very peaceful ultimately, especially lake. It's a standing water, right? So also it's a good escape of this non-stop thinking just by looking at it, just looking this like kind of serene picture. It's like so relaxing, right? So find that peace inside of yourself, and that can be made easier by just spending time in the nature, and definitely leaving your phone at home or in a car or whatever, not really next to you, because once when you hear this ping, the Pavlovian reflex kind of activates and you have to check it. You're trained. Just check it. Google Pavlov's dog. They have trained dogs to salinate just because they actually rang the bell. So this is what we are with our electronics. So beat it. Beat the system. Leave the phone aside. Give yourself this time, and you will be really amazed what really opens up for you over here when you have it. Because the next thing that we are going into here is cave, and also I see that kind of like need for you to kind of like really get this sanctuary. And this is really you. That kind of like would be that crab in the ocean or crab in the lake, kind of, I don't know if you can see it even here, like it's actually a moon coming out here, right? So this is like somebody, I would say a caveman, who is actually creating his art and who is painting on the walls of the cave, kind of like these colors that he's painting is like it's fully connected with the planet, right? And the fire basically warms him, and the cave shelters him. So this is kind of like a feeling you Cancers really connect with, right? You need that warm womb-like structure protection. It also serves as a temple when you kind of go into your cave, and also it boosts your creative spirits, I would say. So this is again just very much like Lake asking you for a still place to find, like a sanctuary, and find it in the natural world where you can really disconnect and make this your temple. Make this a place where you go to. So eventually, you know how you train with that phone that you have to pick it up. Whenever you come to this place, you're going to connect it with serenity, with peace, and spiritual communication. So in today's busy world, it becomes even more critical to set aside time for sanctuary. So even if you guys have to schedule it, please do so. It's really important because, again, just like here, it's like something that is going like this in this August, and then whew, it just kind of huge lift up. You're getting wind. So you're getting from this middle of the lake through your cave, and you're jumping out and you're activating, right? So air is like really interesting, right? Because air and is the motion. It's like very much the opposite of stillness, right? And this can actually, activation can happen many ways, even sitting outside and feeling the breeze, or inhaling just smells in the nature, or even cooking smells, or really when you shop for food, smell it. Try to get your local market food and smell it as well. Release tension. These are all natural, basically healing methods. Like, you are attracted to very colorful things because not only that you have to eat them, try to enjoy them. Like, we are so busy, we just like literally go from A to Z without really checking everything like it's saying over here. But you guys are going to put a stop to it. This month is going to be different. Like, toward the end of the month, it's going to be your time for action. So engage in some activity and be present. Be really present when you're doing it. Just like my brother said, like, I really like to give it up because what I'm gaining is another activity that I certainly love. So for you, whether you are kind of like physically becoming active on your own, or this can be even dancing on your own, like you're cooking and you're just like moving your hips, or if you're engaging with somebody else, or even if it's hiking, you see, smelling the roses, you guys are certainly going to the next level of existence. You're like waking up, and I think this is going to be a common essence. It's going to be easier for you than for the fixed signs, but it is. At least I shuffled the cards while I kind of like realized that I still didn't explain this. So let's start. Unrequited love. So that's where the stillness has to kick in, right? So, okay, some of you don't like the ring virtue, and if you really don't like, please just ignore it. I am just using it, not necessarily as a crutch, but as you're seeing, I'm using double the cards. So I don't so much connect with what she has over here as an explanation, but I really like the titles because it kind of gives me maybe some additional layer of information. Also keep in mind that there are 2 layers and you can literally separate them. So religious factors, that could be marriage, that could be belonging to the same club, true love, separation, so something happened in the past, calling in your soulmate, that is your cave, guys, wedding, new love, heart-to-heart conversations, passion, and engagement. Good gosh, this is all over the place. And on the bottom of the deck we have honeymoon. So honeymoon, I personally don't really enjoy as a card, because it tells me that we are a little unrealistic, that we are still little girls or little boys, still believing in that like famous perfect partner who is just not going to bother because we play video games, or who is just not going to bother because we're in curlers all the time, or who's just not going to bother. The point is like they shouldn't bother, but they also kind of like we have to do our own part. So honeymoon is like to me kind of like rose colored glasses. So to some extent it's good to have it, because right, like I mean, when we have trouble in relationship, it's always good to go back to those points which kind of like were good, so we have that glue that we can build upon. But if you dwell on that and you think it always has to be like that, this is kind of like where things can kind of break down. Because look at the second card, Seven of Swords. This is kind of like feeling some sneaky thing happened, or somebody's taking things right under your nose. You're deep in your stillness. You're kind of like trying to figure out things. Seven is also a card of Swords of force independence, where kind of like you really have to get into a situation where you have to figure out your new strategy, right? So let's see basically how this reflects all over the place. I have another 7 over here. Interesting. So this is on the ground level. But basically I'll give you the history of what happened. Separation, it was maybe something that was breaking down, maybe the communication, maybe looking at a partner, maybe your reputation has been damaged, maybe you didn't act kind of like at your utmost best conduct. Yeah, the Justice reversed. By the way, this is 9 of Pentacles, because people ask me to name the cards. They're like not that common. Then we have the Justice. This is like Karma card. Justice is basically talking about balance. But why is this karma? Because when something bad happens to us, especially if you have been harmed, well, knee-jerk reaction is to kick right back. Now this is asking you not to, because something what happened was something that looks like harmed you, if this is coming out. And it's asking you not to kind of like go into this reactivity, because now the reaction is on you. It is your karma, right? Wow, check this out, the Temperance. Remember this card over here? This is this card of integration. Temperance, you see, the 14. Temperance is basically also talking about merging whole bunch of things. Stars are aligning. Here they didn't align, so it looks like you guys are really learning the messages from it and learning the duality of life, that yeah, sometimes you can do the best you can, and yet circumstances happen, or somebody kind of like kicks you on the side, like you're driving the car and the boulder drops on you, and nothing you did or nothing you planned. Life happens, right? Also, it looks like even though you think there's a true love, like 6 of Pentacles tells me that giving and sharing and connectivity was challenged, to say the least. It could have been that you were just give. And stop yourself right there, because this Justice here and this Temperance here, this is all asking for that balance, right? And that's why you need to go into this stillness. You have to see the situation from the outside. You're going to ground yourself, or you're grounding yourself. King of Pentacles is like really nice energy. It is kind of like literally kind of connect with the nature, enjoy, like put your feet on the grass, draw that earthy energy. For you guys, even put in water. Yeah, so now these 2 cards together and the Temperance reverse can tell me that maybe you have been betrayed, that you basically did find out about somebody else, that maybe also that maybe you want somebody who is, as it says here, unavailable. So it does happen. We idolize the person, we fall in love. Emotions are emotions. We don't always get it back, right? So This is the situation at the beginning of the month, and I did cross it out because unrequited love, just like it is said here. So you have like now 3 categories telling me the same thing. Something didn't work out, and you got really lonely because of that. So this was your cave, guys. You already are in this cave. You're probably already in this stillness, and you're trying to integrate maybe the pain that you experienced with already knowing and understanding that you have to fly, right? So it was like from that swan, you're going to eagle. See, from this water, you're going to this fire, because your next step is like traveling. It's not necessarily putting a foot in front of the foot. This is talking about metaphysical and spiritual travels, because we always can learn, and it isn't wrong or right to feel one way or the other, but we have to honor that we were able to actually love. You know what they say? It's better to, what was it saying? It's better to love and hurt, or something like that. I'm pretty sure you're going to kind of like spell it out for me. Yeah, that was like something you have seen, like the union of these two opposites. So check it out. It's a reminder, like the things go up and down. So don't get stuck in this moment. Do not stay in that cave for too long, because there is going to be somebody else who's going to show up on the horizon. Right now it may feel, you see, have a 6 of wands reverse, so maybe somebody really needed to admire it, or maybe you were looking for a little kind of like spot in the sun, kind of like to feel like, you know, that love, and not getting it. You have to question a little bit, did you really want it? And like, I mean, did you really feel that your happiness is dependent on the other person giving it to you? Because then we are setting ourselves for failure, right? The happiness has to come from the inside, guys, and this is why you have this card of integration. You're traveling to it, and when you get there, it's the innocent, because children are happy, right? Maybe we can learn things from children as well. So there is like this whole feeling of how to go, where to go from, and really how to position ourselves. So now we already have like 3 sixes, which obviously is going to be the month dedicated to love. 6 is the number of love, of relationship. And sometimes we kind of have relationship on autopilot. We do it the way we always did it, and we somehow figure it's going to function all the time. Well, guess what? This is what happens with a new car. And what happens with this new car, I don't know, 5 years down the road, they break. So it is not enough just to flow. So even though the lake is that stillness that you have, this lake also moves, and you have to keep it in mind that the rain happens and haze happens and things happen, because it seems to me that there was some kind of rejection in love, and I see it pretty much everywhere. And you have this feelings that you really wanted to offer it. Oh my gosh, you really wanted this person, and this person was the queen or the king for you, the empress over here, somebody exalted, like you literally placed this person on a pedestal. Be careful, nobody should be placed on a pedestal, including ourselves, because we all have good and bad, and the point of life, I guess, is to go and get better and better. So somehow there is like a running away from problems and being stuck issue, but check it out. It's telling you you're not going to stay stuck very long. You're learning, because you're going to learn eventually. Look, I'm only harming myself, and it's easier said than done, but if I do this like little innocent steps, if I sit in the sun, if I kind of connect, this is maybe the way out. Yeah, this is still kind of feeling stuck, but you'll be kind of like struggling and trying to get out of it. So see the Chariot, that is, guys, you. So you're like upside down, right? But remember, you actually have the overall energy amazing. So this is asking of you to dust off. This is a Chariot. Guess what happens? Do you know of any warrior of the past who always won and won and won? No. And if people tell you they're winners, they're only basically losers. Because the truth is, each one of us has our wins and has our losses in life. So this means like maybe you're on a downside. Maybe you're questioning morality of the person. Maybe you're questioning, why have you done this to me? Maybe you're questioning, okay, well, why was this a status quo? Why was this situation not something I could bridge? And maybe you're looking at it in an overly complex manner. Maybe you're looking at it with trying to stand on your standpoint and not willing to give up those video games, right? But if it's not you, it could be that the partner was that way. Because going forward, there is kind of a little guard toward relationships and toward wedding. Maybe you're a little bit resentful of, let's see, this kind of looks like a little kind of ticked off face. I don't know if you can see it. No, this is my box and this is just my box. Get away from my box. You know, I can almost see this tail flicking, can you? So it is either you who has been married and now separated, or it's been you who wants to marry and kind of like somehow something is in the way, or maybe you're involved with a married person, or it's summer, people are getting married and gives you all this kind of feeling. But you want to get to the bottom of something. Knave of Swords, this is Four of Pentacles. Knave of Swords reverse talks about some kind of spying energy. So now this is a dual energy. It can definitely mean rebuilding. So see, this is sort of interesting situation. It's a, let's say it's step back. You are going from 4 to 3, but really it isn't. This one is actually a really high card in Pentacle suit. It talks about just exactly this. We have to be both playful and light and understand that we have to kind of work together. Because if we start arguing and we are not in sync, guess what's going to happen? The little mousey is going to have the way with us. So this card also can mean possible involvement of the third party, and this could also mean that you're kind of guarded over something and trying to see how things will evolve, if maybe somebody else is going to come your way and try to work on issues. So see, that's who you are right now. You're like this little kitty, right? So now this is that third 7. I believe we had a Chariot over here. Yeah, I think that was the 6 over here. So this is still not bad, even though it is like a little hissy fit. Maybe you have to insist on certain things, because here it said that you got hurt because maybe somebody just simply just used you. Maybe they were just asking for too much and there was no balance. So now you're saying, no way, Jose, you know, I know that this is maybe hard, but I am renegotiating this deal and I am up here and you are down here. So it is something also that you're starting something new on a completely new principles. Maybe a little bit even too much, guys. So, but let's go with this energy. The healing is still needed. This is the stars. It's not even the star, but the stars. So this traveling is also kind of connected to communication, kind of communication deep inside. But this is also asking of you that, you see, this guard that you have has to be dropped. It's really important to allow this healing to come in. And by the way, let me know if you guys want this, but I'm thinking about creating a Reiki series for, I don't know, healing broken heart, like creating positive energy, shedding the walls, just sort of like a little kind of, let's say, crutches with, and maybe quick 5-10 minutes kind of like Reiki sessions. So if you guys think that's a good idea, just like please either give me a thumb up or just like write it down, like your comment on it, and also what kind of Reiki session you would like, kind of list. Whoa, look, we're going from 7 to 8, and guess what is 8 of Wands? That is this card. So let's see the similarities in this card. So see how different tarot decks have completely different messages, right? So here you're the one undertaking this journey and traveling upon, and here it's like still looking up to the moon. And like here we have the sun, here we have the moon. You guys, like, messages for you are like just like overwhelming. So this is the communication. It's really coming onto you. It's saying that new love is entering, and be really careful. Do not be guarded. So yeah, activate yourself. This is the time where you need to activate. So we're talking halfway through it, just like right after the lunar eclipse, guys. That's the period where you're coming into, because right, stars and the moon, it's happening. Just don't let them in, guys, because like I see this guarded energy here and here. So as far as the person that is in the past, for those of you who kind of like have been going through on and off or recent breakup, it is a time for this conversation. It is a time after your stillness, after connecting with yourself, and after coming down to the core, kind of like discuss the feelings and see if this person is actually giving you the answers, or this person is just trying to kind of like poke you and prick you, because the Knight of Chalices is somebody who might manipulate emotionally, somebody who will tell you very romantic things. And this is where we kind of fall into this hole, because this person really doesn't follow up with their actions. And ultimately, maybe you're going to understand that you're living in a dreamland, and this is not that match made in heaven, because you shouldn't be feeling that way if this is kind of like meant to be. And I know this is kind of like sometimes hard realization, but also this can mean another thing, because look, these two cards are connecting, that you will feel that you are still kind of like anchored with this person instead of opening yourself up to this new love. This is your energy, guys. This moon is your energy, and these stars. So just I invite you to open up, activate. Look at this, activation is calling for you. You can as well look at this, all the celestial things that relate to you guys. I'm actually surprised that I still didn't see the moon, and I really hope to see it, because then it's going to be, 360. Hopes and fears. Yeah, you actually do want to open up yourself to this new person, and you are not really going to, this is still kind of like not going forward, still hesitation. Maybe some of you are still married, or didn't finish the business with someone and kind of like still not ready to move on, but you will eventually. You see, the death card means it has to stop. And it's like, the ball slowing down and down and down, and finally stops. And that's how it's going to go for you. And I don't really think it's going to be painful, because all this passion that you have for somebody from the past, it's simply going to stop. This is not growing. But there is something else. You're engaging life. So I think you are certainly clicking, and it's going to for you come somewhere right after the solar eclipse, and you are, guys, so going to click and literally wake up. And I think this whole Leo transit is really difficult for you, Cancer. Usually it is the month after our birthdays, so you still have to regain strength, or maybe this is connected to this. Maybe you're overpowering others. So this is also your card. You need to kind of balance yourself up, right? You need to integrate both your aggressive and soft part of who you are. And there is a karma card. Actually, you won't be able to do much, because you have the karma here and you have the justice here. So you have two karmic cards. So it's going to be really interesting period for you. But this is also asking for balance. You see, this is also asking for this integration. The more they're integrated, the more you are, the less reactive you are, the more you're moving up. And I think you're leaving behind you one kind of like period and moving into another. Okay, so I'm going to do the Leatherman next, and again, I'm not going to bother you with me putting the cards down, and I'm going to just come back when all the cards are on the table. So for you, it's going to be a second. Okay, guys, I hope you're not going to hate me. I'm trying to give you a really long session, because you're coming at the end of my readings. I'm a little bit late with them, but that's why I just want to give you a little bit deeper things. So for those of you who don't know Lenormand is kind of generic divination tool, and it has like two significators, the lady and the gentleman, and it's kind of like situational spread, kind of like you can kind of give us like it's like a bird view of our life. So I'm going to just give you situations around, and they can be generic, they can be personal. And as I said, one significator can be you, another person can be the one you're inquiring about, etc. So some of you, again, it shows like being in that stillness, being in that sanctuary. It's kind of going through almost like what feels like karmic kind of aspect in your life. But look at there is this dreaming, there is like that stars and the heart. And again, guys, this card, the Pixie Lenormand, is made to look like tarot, but it isn't tarot, and it's not even explained as tarot. For example, the Tower is actually a really good card, very much not a good card in tarot. So the cross is that karma card over here, which is in the past, so it's a good news. However, I see something dying, and you had a death over there, so this is something from the past. It looks like the Lovers from the past. And again, you have the Sun, which kind of is similar in a sense, but it's a different kind. It looks like the troubles that you had, the mountain that you had to kind of like surpass, it's behind you, and that's lovely, right? For some of you that were looking for a job, it looks like the promotion, maybe you applied for a job, you might get a promotion. It's going to be something very lucky and something that you're going to really, really love. So it could be a new kind of like opportunity. Some of you may become involved with something health related, or something could be import export, but in any case it could be kind of like some self-employment, or maybe even getting a contract that can be kind of like working for yourself, even though you might still work for somebody else, right? So it looks like here again I see this new love, and I see this hesitation about going about it, because you still need to clear. You see like there is like this cutting. You still want to end all this garbage that happened in the past and put an end to it. So it's going to be the cutting back and forth, right? So the coffin, almost to me, it sounds like that sanctuary. It sounds like that stillness, right? It's again kind of like pulling in back. That almost looks like Four of basically Swords in tarot. And the Moon card here doesn't mean the same as in tarot, for sure, because in tarot is like sort of like appearances, and appearances are deceptive. But here it talks about the reputation, and it looks like to me the anchor and the moon, and you have the moon knighting the sun. That's amazing sign, amazing sign. So you're going to kind of like get to some kind of conclusions, and you're going to by the end kind of like feel lucky. You have a lucky period in your future, and for some of you, you have your health is getting better. You are kind of like really dedicated to something or to somebody. So it looks to me that it could be, you see, even the person, if you're inquiring about, it's kind of like meeting in this key and the dog. So it could be some kind of like finally finding, that kind of looks like that integration to me, finding this two kind of like different parts that can be integrated. Because look, one is the fish from the bottom, and one is the moon on the top, right? So this is that integration has to happen on a kind of very earthy level, where you have a dog, which is loyalty. And honestly, I always connect dog to you guys. But the mountain, which is like really the biggest obstacle, is in the past. Like, I mean, the mice is still here, of course. Mice are like those daily irritations, let's call it customer service kind of type of irritation. So it is here. So lastly, I'm going to do gypsy spread for you guys. So this is situational. Gypsy spread is going to be awesome. It has lots of significators, and there's nobody really else that is doing this on the entire YouTube, because it is actually difficult. But let's give it a shot. So I'm going to click back in a second for you, but for me, when I put all the cards on the table. Right, guys, so let's check here. So again, there are quite a few significators here, and this can be completely different storyline from what we had, because it's a different method. This is more or less emotional method, And I'm going to give you a whole bunch of storylines here. And again, significators, either of them, or not either of them, any of them can be you, because even the woman with kids can be for single women with no kids, because this is a general reading. And even though I did kind of shift them up and down, I will read them as sort of like up. So let's start actually first with the bottom of the deck, the last 2 cards of these 52 cards. Check it out. Do you see the similarities? Look at this ship, right? It almost looks like this is just one, right? This is just one picture. They're almost maybe having a conversation, because independently looking at it, this card means I'm sad. Look, here is the letter. I'm waiting for somebody. This is like somebody maybe leaving. But when you see this picture, it looks like he is waiting to load this. So he's eager to put this out so he can sell things he really worked for. So this is kind of like this duality that you had, right? So interestingly enough, this is repeating again. So if you overlap, this merchant and sides becomes a completely different meaning, because at this stage now they're like facing each other. And I think this is that heart-to-heart conversation. It's reaching the closure that you had on the bottom of the deck. Maybe somebody's not willing to give you this closure, and this basically says, you know, shed your tears if you have to. Just do whatever is needed, because you have to realize that, you know, you're a beautiful being, and that maybe you're not perfect in the situation, and you have to forgive yourself, and you have to forgive them. So let me go in significators. We have the Lover, which can be a single guy or basically a single person, right? Then we have the Lord, and the Lord generally, here, I don't know if you can see it, just do it this way. The Lord over here represents either a professional or a married guy. Then we have the wife and the kids over here, which represents right, wife or kids, or it can be any significator. Then we have the sweetheart, which can be single ladies. Then we have a young woman, which can be a younger woman. A friend, which also can be a younger woman, which even this one can be a different kind of like situation. Then another 2 cards that I also look would be the enemy, which could be a male rival. This can be even us, that we are our own worst enemy. And where is the foe, which is the female rival, foe. Foe is hiding. That's great news. There it is. Not really hiding in plain sight. So let me give you like different storylines. So this person here, the Lover, is going to head into something really traumatic. This is called misfortune. This is talking about not being able to bury certain things because there's still certain secrets. Maybe there is a person here who just like went through some kind of counseling and thinking back and forth and kind of like maybe not necessarily reaching conclusion. There was this third person over here that is like really so significant, because I see this like pleasure seekers, but I also see this cheerfulness and joyfulness. So one person is partying, another person is kind of suffering, right? Other person's life has been turned upside down and they cannot move on. They're holding on to this, but they will move on eventually. They will move on. There is like this conversation that is taking place, and it might actually need a help, the medical help. The doctor here is like the healing, and because here we have this and this old woman on trajectory. Maybe you're initially looking for advice of your friends and maybe looking on the internet for the information, but looks like some of you will actually go a step higher and find like, I mean, maybe a method that works for you to put an end to it, because like delaying the end looks like at this stage. Look at this, you have the love reversed, you have the child reversed, you have the death reversed, and you have like falseness reversed. So this tells me that you have been uprooted and like you are feeling very, very uncomfortable, right, Cancers? You really need that cave. You need that security, right, where, you know, you feel the comfort that you need. And this is really not giving you that security. But what is this asking of you? It is asking of you to actually start traveling and start looking into a new direction. Start kind of like figuring out what can be salvaged, if anything. If not, you have to look that you are getting repaired. And for some of you, you actually will get repaired in a big way. You have the surprise wedding, and we had the wedding there, and fortune. So, and consolation, which some people argue is the best card in the deck. But it's going to come with something of other things. So it's going to be these messages, and you had this traveling and messages in tarot as well. So messages, but then you're going to really wonder, you're getting so healthy that you're kind of getting childlike. Do I like it or not? It's literally becoming a really simple choice. Kind of like, really, would I feel integrating with this person? And remember, integration is the key to basically you this period. So now we have this woman here, which could be somebody who is either a part of a couple or somebody who has kids. And it looks like here, kind of like it was this end of that relationship because of the third person as well. And she is going, or he is going through kind of very uncomfortable thing. First of all, going through this almost hate of somebody who messed up with this relationship and a marriage, the third person interference, who she feels stole that love, right? And kind of like it put an ending of something that kind of lasted. And this is the person who is maybe considering therapy or going in therapy, but somehow trying to revisit their self-esteem, right? So here is the Lord. There is a connection between them. Like, she has right next to her a foe. He has right next to him an enemy. So this could be actually, each party had somebody on the side, right? And actually one party had even more than one person on the side. So, a busy person. But this person is doing this because they really don't know who they are. They feel very uneasy about themselves, about the marriage. And actually, at the very least, they are actually breaking free these kind of chains of marriage and releasing this person to kind of heal. This person who is going to either be released or release that marriage is going to go in a really good direction. It's going to be the fortune and consolation. Yes, there will be still a tear or two, but overall a really, really good direction. This person is actually eventually realize that, they don't want reunion either. And it's kind of like this whole situation, she cannot even stay friends with this person, it seems like. So it's going to be communication about that. So it looks like there was a person here that the person cheated with, that person is with. And funny enough, what's going to happen here, that this person also possibly gets cheated on and is going to experience severe jealousy. So also, if this is you and significates you, then this can also mean that you're really right now in a situation to feel that you're feeling that maybe somebody is taking away your kids, something that is really dear from you. You're going to try to communicate, you're going to try to express your loyalties toward that, but you're going to feel discomfort and also will kind of like need that sanctuary for yourself. You will really need that stillness, right? But here is like that activation card over here. Here we have a butterfly, but here is reversed. So this is asking of you not to get bogged down. So when this kind of lightness come your way, take it. Take this opportunity to fly. Don't go down in the cave, because this is your way out, guys. And this is your way out to this consciousness. Remember, we are now back at the beginning. You have amazing potential in this period. Use it. The complex situation that you have for some single ladies as well, you might feel you have been used. You may feel this person really doesn't know what they want. Maybe this person is unavailable. You're doubting, is this my friend or is this my enemy? And looks like every situation is putting under huge question mark, what the heck is going on here? So I have taken one more card from this enchanted map thing, and I really wanted to see, how do we seal this reading, and what is the basically universal message with all this kind of like significations that we had. And look at what a lovely card I got. It jumped out flying. Just like as I was saying, you guys are going from the water, you're lifting yourself up, you're going into this consciousness, right? So this is what it says. You have the power to see things from a higher perspective. Yay! Yay! Nay. So, if you were a bird flying high in the air, there is the eagle. You guys are becoming an eagle. What would you see? When you soar above life's challenges and opportunities, a new perspective becomes available. Today you have invisible wings that allow you to swiftly bring your circumstances into alignment with your highest purpose. This is a sign that your waiting is over, that your hard work has paid off, and the things you hope for are no longer beyond your scope. You have the ability to reach for the stars and find one with your name on it. Spread your wings and soar. Don't hesitate. The angels are waiting for you. So guys, you're going into your innocence, and this is just confirmation of this wind and activation. So I really want to hear from you. I really want to see how you guys accomplishing this, because that's a really amazing reading. Even though you'll be dealing lots of dirty minuscule details that will bog you down, but like please keep in mind this is all for a purpose. If you really want to know what is the soul contract and purpose you wrote in, check my karma readings. And until then, please join Facebook. It's kind of cool to integrate and get your opinions. And if you really want your personal reading, please contact me via my website. And wish you all the best and have a great August. I love you all.